So, last time we left off where Day-Day was going GTA on the streets of Raccoon City, but he is suddenly distracted by zombie strippers. And he ends up crashing his vehicle, now forced to go on foot. By the way, in the previous part of this review, a lot of you mentioned that the first zombie to attack at the entrance was either a Licker or a Cerberus, so I went back and slowed it down to see the reflection of the gas mask, and it was indeed a Licker. That is awesome. Major prompts, Paul. Major prompts. But anyways, we go back to the Mercenaries and the police force fighting off the hordes of zombies. Again, it's a badass scene. I like this team here. So Carlos is actually acting like the video game version. Good job there, Paul. You get one banana sticker, and even his two teammates are likable characters. This guy's called Nikolai. Yeah, the Nikolai. His last name is hard to say, so I'm just gonna call him Nikolai. And this guy is called Yuri. However, he is definitely a reference to Mikhail. But Carlos is the only one who is true to his character. While Nikolai is a completely different character here. Nikolai was the new Wesker of RE3, but this Nikolai is a good friend and ally. He's not the same Nikolai. Okay, bear with me here. He's called Nikolai, but doesn't act like Nikolai. Carlos is Carlos, and Yuri isn't Mikhail, but he's a reference to him? So why didn't they just call him Mikhail? Paul, get over here. Stop staring at your wife. Come here. So let me get this straight. This movie revolves around the events of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, correct? In the first film, you recreated the events of the first game and gave us characters that would be a reference to characters in the first game, right? Like Kaplan, he was a reference to Richard Eichen, a STARS member that gets injured and continues to aid the main characters even when that leads to his inevitable death. Or Spence, a character referencing both the Spencer name and Albert Wesker, a character that acts as an ally but betrays the main characters by the end, which leads to his own demise. Quick note to those who say, well, Wesker didn't really die. Yes, he did. Originally, he did. But Capcom brought him back due to his popularity, and not because it was planned to be a twist. So my point is that the first film used this method of references to the first game, but the second film tries this and includes a character from the first and third game, and even tells us that the events of the first game actually did happen? Like, what the shit? According to the first film, there is no real reason why Jill should be in this movie version, because she had nothing to do with the events that led towards the outbreak in Raccoon City. Paul, you are basically telling us two different stories that can't be in the same movie because it doesn't make sense. What the hell do you have to say about that? And don't tell me that this is a reference to the A and B scenario, because now I'm getting sick of references when you can't even get them right. It's clear so far that you had no idea what Resident Evil was all about. You just saw zombies and a very erotic chick and said, hey, I can make a movie about zombies and a very erotic chick. So I ask again, what do you have to say about that, Paul?
I tried to please my fans. And my wife.
No, Paul! Using mindless references isn't going to work because we're not mindless sheep that will be automatically aroused by seeing a live-action film based on our favorite video game. An umbrella logo on a bullet again with slow-mo is fucking stupid. The slow-mo bullet worked on Resident Evil 0 because it was a final shot that took down the final boss. Here, Alice basically one-shotted every licker. Not suspenseful whatsoever. And what's with all these fucking umbrella logos? You know, Umbrella didn't own everything. They weren't Disney. But here, Umbrella owns everything. Bullets, leisure suits, thongs. Their vehicles don't even need a digit or a letter on their license plate. Just an Umbrella logo. That's how fucking powerful they are here. Umbrella employees are like, fuck the law, we don't give a shit. Go ahead and issue me a ticket, officer. I'll drop a tyrant through your bedroom ceiling. Explain that to your wife as it beats the hell out of you. Okay, now I'm going a little off the radar. Let's go back to punishing ourselves with this movie. Why aren't there any cops screaming for their lives? They may be in the RPD, but they act like NPCs. Look at this guy. Stay back, zombie. Oh no, I've been vanquished. Show some emotion, guys. Everyone that's being eaten alive, they're taking it like a champ. No one is screaming in pain. Either that or the sound editor forgot to cue in the generic screams. Imagine if this scene was directed by George A. Romero. That would have been hardcore. So Carlos, Nikolai, and Yuri retreat, and the scene ends with a reenactment of the ending to the intro of RE3. We were also shown that Charles was observing them through a surveillance camera. We then go back to Jill, Duke, the reporter, and Captain Marvel as they cross through a cemetery. They then take a small break, and Alice notices that Duke is infected. Just now, she noticed that he was infected. Hey, Ultraviolet, didn't you notice that Jill was carrying his ass around the entire time since you met them? Open your eyes, Alice! So she points a gun at Duke and tells Jill that they should kill him now, because he's infected. As both women argue about who's got the bigger clit, they are suddenly interrupted by a group of zombies that crawled out of their own graves. I wish I could explain this as basic bullshit, since the T-Virus doesn't work that way, but this literally does happen in Resident Evil 3 at the Park Cemetery. And sad thing is that I couldn't really find a logical reason towards that. Perhaps I might have missed a document that explains that the zombies in the Park Cemetery were just recently buried, or that those zombies weren't crawling out of their own graves, but were instead just zombies covered with leaves and shrubs. But as far as I know, I didn't see any explanations regarding this, so
I'll allow it!
So this scene includes very detailed zombies as they did just crawl out of their own graves, but sadly it's butchered by that terrible editing again. The sound department forgot to make the reporter's screams actually be heard, and there are far too many jump cuts. I'm sure this would have looked average if we got a wide shot slowly zooming out of all four characters dealing with the horde of zombies. I mean, at least we could see what's going on instead of this clusterfuck of a mess. Again, I do give them prompts for making some of these zombies actually look terrifying, but I'm still confused as to why they rose from the dead if they must have been buried for years. But anyways, we go over to Major Kane where he is informed that the T-Virus infection has increasingly spread, so they activate the Nemesis program. Finally, 33 minutes in, and we're finally shown to the king of all tyrants, the Nemesis. He awakens, and as he does so, a chopper flies by the building he's in to drop off 2 cases. I know, I bet you were hoping that they actually dropped off a Mr. X, or 2 of them for that matter. I mean, a chopper dropping off a giant case or container, who else wouldn't think that? Unfortunately, it's just a couple of weapon cases for the Nemesis. Carlos, Nikolai, and Yuri are very close by, so they head towards the building assuming the chopper was sent there to pick them up. They pass by the room where the Nemesis was kept, but he's not there. They then find the 2 cases that were dropped off by the chopper, and they're already empty. That's odd, considering the fact that the Nemesis had just woken up, and these mercenaries weren't even far from the drop-off. So how did the Nemesis make his way towards the entrance of the building and grab both weapons before Carlos and his comrades arrived if they were closest to the drop zone? He even had enough time to change considering the fact that he was naked when he awoke. Also, Yuri ends up turning into a zombie right away. He was bitten not too long ago, literally 4 minutes before Nemesis awoke, so how the hell did he instantly become a zombie when he only got bit once? And it was on his right arm. Why was he limping? It took Rain the entire film to turn into a zombie in the first film. You want to explain this, Paul? So Nemesis took off. They got lucky, I guess. Yuri turns into a zombie and bites Carlos. Not so lucky. And then we're back to Day-Day. He makes his way to a theater where he meets Leon S. Kennedy. I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen here. He instead meets up with a group of STARS members. I know. Now we're probably thinking, well, that sounds better than Leon himself. You got characters like this cowboy guy on the roof sniping zombies down with a chill attitude with a few beers and a CD player. Brilliant. He's probably a reference to Forrest Speyer. Then we have Captain Henderson, who by the looks of it could have instead been Enrico Marini or even Barry Burton, but maybe he's a reference to one of them. I'm probably giving them credit for accidental references. Who knows? All I know is that the Nemesis is approaching and Day-Day's got STARS backup. It's too bad that so much shit has been going on because I would have liked to have known why all these STARS members aren't searching for survivors instead of staying at a random theater. But anyways, the STARS sniper sees the Nemesis walking towards them and takes a few shots on him, but it doesn't slow him down. Everyone else is watching from the inside of the theater, and the Nemesis fires back with his signature rocket launcher. Paul, here's another banana sticker. That was a great introduction for the Nemesis. I know there's plenty of shit to go through in this movie, but I'm gonna tell it like it is. This scene was awesome. It reminds me of when Chris Redfield used a rocket launcher to take down Forrest Speyer, since this STARS member is like a reference to him. Watch the Resident Evil unseen footage video to know what I'm talking about there. Also, Nemesis actually looks identical to the Nemesis. His design and costume looks perfect. I know he's supposed to be taller, but this is something to be commended for. Because if a Resident Evil film reboot does get made, there's a high chance that they'll go with a CGI Nemesis instead of practical effects, simply because CGI is so damn easy to pull off and less expensive. Let's hope it doesn't turn out that way, right? But if so, at least we got to see what perfection looks like. So the Nemesis eliminates the Star Sniper, and everyone else but Day-Day starts firing everything they got on Nemesis. This should have actually took him down temporarily, but I see what they're going with here. It's gonna take more than countless ammunition to take this Nemesis down. What's also cool is that for a brief second, you can see what the Nemesis sees, and on the top left side, you see how much ammunition he has left, as well as how many rockets he has remaining. On the top right side, we see that all 12 Stars members are considered minimal threat, but the best addition is on the bottom right side, where you basically see his health percentage. This is something that should have been shown for longer than a millisecond. I never knew about this until I had to work on this video. After all the shots he's taken, his health percentage only dropped to around 96%. Sadly, Umbrella gave Nemesis an additional weapon, which is a Gatling gun. Some might say this is even better, or some might say that it's a little unnecessary. But the reason why I think that he shouldn't have had a Gatling gun here is because that's not only giving him too many perks, but also he doesn't have a reason to come face to face with any targets, which is exactly what happens with this Nemesis. He doesn't take anybody down with his brute strength or parasitic tentacles, and unfortunately he doesn't even use his parasitic tentacles. You can see the ones that go with his outer design, but it's almost like Paul over here kept it in the concept art but never bothered to see what they were. So the Nemesis got rid of every Stars member in that theater. Damn, this guy got shot twice in the butt. I don't know why, but it looks like the Nemesis went for a lot of crotch shots. Day-Day gets spared simply because he was unarmed. Kinda makes you wonder if the Nemesis from the game would do the same thing. I really don't know, since Day-Day isn't a target of his, but didn't Umbrella send the Nemesis to hunt down every Stars member because they wanted to get rid of every witness? Meaning that technically Nemesis would end up killing anyone that sees him? Or maybe this is just Day-Day getting a little bit of that plot armor. Who knows? Another thing to note is that after he takes them all down, his health percentage slowly begins rising. That's pretty cool. But anyways, this is where we'll be leaving off for now. So far, the movie is a mixed bag. By the way, in case some of you weren't aware of yet, some jabroni or company called Shueisha gave my channel 2 copyright strikes on a few Gantz videos I made about a year ago. They fell under fair use, but that doesn't matter unless you have a very popular channel, which I don't, so I had to privatize all my Gantz videos. But they will be available on my Patreon, and I'll also continue making more Gantz videos there without censorship. If any of you are interested in those, just message me on my Patreon if you want to see the next Gantz volume review, and I'll have that up in no time. Anyways, with that said, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. And if you'd like to see extra videos, have early access to upcoming videos, and you'd like to vote on what you'd want to see next, or you simply just want to see your name at the end of the videos, then feel free to support the channel by donating a single dollar to my Patreon. The link is on the description, along with the link to my Facebook page, DeviantArt, and Twitter. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.